stand, we'll do the pledge. Okay. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morgan Township work session on budget, June 24th, 2019 at 6 p.m. And I guess I will turn this over to Mrs. Reinhardt.
Okay. Do you want to do a roll call, Brett?
Yes, roll call.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay. I've given all of you,
You don't have any?
Me?
Get your chest there. Your mic's right against your chest. It keeps rubbing.
Okay.
is it his or mine?
Looked like it was Brett's. All the rest of ours are sticking out. His was sticking
Here.
against his chest.
Take this apart.
Carol's going to love you guys.
Oh, shoot.
Sorry, Carol. Okay.
All right.
That's better.
Okay. I've given everybody the budget worksheet. I have combed through this time and time again. I've got the general, so it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. The rest of the funds are okay, but Road and Bridge Fund 2031 is in the negative. I got it down to $26,000, but we've got to figure out how to get that at least back to zero.
I think you might be too close.
I think so too.
That's why it's in there.
So that's our big challenge, to figure out how to come up with $27,000. So you each have the worksheet. I've also given you the spreadsheet for what revenue we have received and our expenditures so far for 2019 to kind of give you an idea of what's being spent and maybe help you see where I got the figures that I came up with.
Do you have? So, he made a couple of them louder for people that didn't speak as loud.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want to kind of just start from the beginning?
However you guys want to do it, yeah.
I'd say just start with what you got on top, and we'll kind
Okay.
of go
All
down
right.
through.
The first one then is General Fund, Fund 1000. After I've already taken out the $173,646 from General Fund, and I put in the $90,369.13, which was the salaries for 2 road department employees for 2018 that we took out of general, and we made it come out of road and bridge. So that's why there's a negative, or what shows the fund balance adjustment is a negative 83,276. It's because it took the 173 and the 90 and came up with that figure. I've kept the general property tax the same because it's not varied much from that 250,000. Zoning fees, I increased a little bit because Dale is, is creating more revenue. And part of that is because they increased their fees too. The community center rental, I kept at 3,000, but we're not getting near the rentals that we used to, unless it's just this time of year.
It might be.
Health insurance, the current, I had changed from the 120,000 that we had to 10,162.20. That's for the 4 elected officials. And that should have been higher. That's not right. Sorry, guys. I've looked at too many numbers. The 2020 is for the 4 elected officials.
2020. All right, why am I not seeing where you're at?
Fund 2020?
It's on the
Where?
top of page 3, I believe. The medical hospital,
No,
medical
no, no,
hospitalization.
no. I'm still on revenue. I'm on page 1. This is the fees. This is the
All
revenue
fees,
for us.
health insurance and
Yeah.
payroll?
It should, well, maybe not. I was thinking expenditures. That probably is right.
No, where's that come from?
That's our 1% plus I've put in a 15% increase for the last 6 months of the year. So that's what goes in after we pay our 1% to the township. I've been doing that quarterly.
Okay.
The cable franchise fees we're doing better. Looking at what we've taken in so far, I think we've got like 16 grand already this year, so I increased it to 30. Going down to local government fund distribution, that has seemed to increase a little bit the last couple months. We could increase that. I hesitate to do that
Just raised it.
because, I don't know for sure what.
I'd rather be a little low and we get
That
more in.
that was my thought.
Us think we got it and then we don't get it.
Yeah, and so that's why I kept it the same as what we had for this year.
It only raised it 0.2% from 1.66 to 1.68%.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The property tax allocation, that's the money that we get from the state of Ohio for real estate tax. And again, I kept it the same, even though it looks like it's been a little higher. And when you're looking at the 2016 figures, if some of them look like they're really far off, like this one in 16, it says it's 68,000. That's because some things were not put in the proper category by a former fiscal officer. Liquor permit fees, I kept it 2 grand. Cigarette license fees, we just got that in like last week. It was 151, but I just left it at 100 like it was. On down to the interest, I left it at 600. Last year it was 700, but we've got less money in the account, so I just left it at 6.
Connie, how much do we have in that account right now?
$1,794 and
Okay,
I can't remember the rest
close enough.
because I just did the reconciliation from over the weekend this
And
morning.
why do we have so much in that account? Is there any history that we generated that kind of reserve?
There's
That's
no
all-
reserve.
Everything included.
That's all
All
of the
the money.
funds combined. That's not just general fund. That's
It's not
all
like
of the
a savings
funds.
account. That's everything.
That's not like a certificate?
No,
That's
No.
that's our checking
1.7, because you're
account.
holding all the money right now, right?
Right,
Okay,
That's actual cash on hand.
yes.
all right.
There's
of
like
all the funds together.
1,700,000 whatever in the checking, and there's 76,000 something in that savings account. I've just left it there because we haven't needed that cash, and the interest is a little bit better, but we can always pull that, close that out because we're past what they asked us to do when we did direct deposit. So Lenora has said we can close that at any time that we need to. Okay, salaries. You'll notice a difference because whoever gets elected for next year gets I don't remember what the percentage is. There is a raise
Yeah.
for everybody that's elected or appointed after January 1st of 2019. So, and that's why the fiscal officer salary is a little more too. It's not much, so. Administrator staff, that was Jacob's. I pulled it down to 500. If we get an intern through the school year, we won't have to pay them. So that's why I decreased that. OPERS, that is a percentage of the salaries. So that's where that figure comes from. Social Security for myself and Mr. Kolb. The rest of you are in OPERS, and Medicare for everybody. The reason these the Medicare especially is lower is because Road and Bridge was coming out of that last year. The medical and hospitalization, this is the figure for the first 6 months plus elected officials for the rest of the year. 2020, that's with us paying 15%.
Got one
No,
question,
wait, it's not.
Connie.
Yes,
On the Ohio Public Employees Retirement, is that 10%?
yes, that's 10% that the employer pays.
Would that be based
It's based on your salary,
based
on
the
the
two
salaries of the two trustees.
in the fiscal? Would they
No,
both be coming
just
up
the
based
two,
on?
just the two trustees. Tom
Okay.
and Brett are the only trustees in OPERS. You elected to go Social Security, I elected to go Social Security. So
I didn't
That's
think we
why
were
it's-
allowed to elect Social Security.
you may not have been when you were elected, but you can now.
So like at the beginning of the year, I could change that?
No, once you're in, you're in.
Well, that's, never mind.
Yes, that's not,
So how's it 28?
Yeah, you're right, I don't know.
25,000, that's not right. If it's 10% of our salary.
right. I was looking at that.
Is that
And then-
taking the road crew out of
Yep.
there too?
No, it's probably not. That's probably where the error is.
I think the road crew is withheld at 10%, and I think this is closer to 14%, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
No, it's 10% is what it is, so that figure is incorrect. I'll have to go back and refigure that. So that'll give us a little more money. Any
Unless
other,
that includes them as well.
no,
They're on
'Cause
their own sheet.
I've got them on 2031, so that was just one that I missed. Like I said, I've went through and done this about 10 times, so
Where's Dale's salary coming out?
it comes out later on in
Okay.
the 1,130 object level.
Okay.
Property tax allocation, I was just talking about.
Right.
Okay. Medical and hospital, I'm still getting a,
Is that a new calculation based on our additional
that's the cost.
increase in with?
That's the
deductible?
cost.
But 64 grand for 2020 versus 94 for current 2019?
Because road.
In
bridges-
half of 2019, road and bridge were coming out of the general fund.
Okay,
In 2020, I'm only figuring elected officials to come out of the general fund.
okay. So this is still with the trustees paying only 1%
No.
of their
It's-
15%? Or
It's paying 15% for the last 6 months of the year and the 1% that we paid the first 6 months.
Okay,
That's the 94.5.
Yes,
So what is the 64? Is that 15 for the whole year?
yeah.
Okay.
Workers' compensation, because we're coming off of there is one accident that should come off this year. I went ahead and just made it at 25. I know in 18 it was higher, but that's because that was the last year for an accident for former fire chief. That's what I was told, that it would come off this year. So our workers' comp should be lower this year because it goes by a 5-year cycle, I think. So that's where I came up with that figure. I didn't put anything in for auditing services because we won't be audited next year. I do have a letter at the end that I want to give all of you to look at so that you have it before tomorrow night. I have asked through the auditor, Mr. Taylor, I told them that I felt that we should at least get a discount on this year's audit fee, if not a full credit for the error that their auditor made 2 years ago. He said he would pass it on, but I've not gotten any response. But that is also in the letter that I've done for the state auditor. Uniform accounting fees, that's what we pay to the state auditor for our UAN and for the UAN support. Tax collection fees, this I know looks really high. And I'm going by what we've already paid this year so far. I know it's not going to be double, but it's hard to calculate what that second half is going to be. So I left it high again, so we would, be on the high side in expenditures instead of thinking it's going to be low. Travel and meeting expense, I kept the same.
What's the election expenses for?
Whenever,
We got anything going on in 2020?
Levy,
yeah, the levy.
our levy's going up, coming in November, the fire levy.
This November?
No, next year.
November of
2020.
next year.
Can that come out of fire then? Or don't you have a line item for election expenses?
I think we do. But this is really backwards. It should be 2,500 for this year and probably 0 for next year because one trustee and one fiscal officer is up for re-election this year.
Mhm.
So we'll have probably an election expense. It may not show up though until 2020.
Okay.
So either way, one year or the other, that's what I'm figuring.
So, yeah, 16 was Brett, 17 was nothing. No, 16 was me and you. Then 17, we didn't have an election.
Well, 17 we did because I had to run, but for some reason we weren't charged.
17 you ran?
I had to finish out the last 2 years of Lila's term.
That was in 16 with me.
No.
Yeah, but you ran with me.
That's right, you ran
Yeah.
18.
Yeah,
So that's
No.
18. Yeah, you did run with Brett, didn't you?
you're
Yeah,
right.
you ran the same
You're
time.
right. You're
Okay,
right.
All right.
Sorry.
So that's why every other year, so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes
Um,
sense.
Travel and meeting expense, I kept the same. That is somewhere where we could cut if everybody doesn't go to Columbus at the end of January, the 1st of February, I think it is next year.
Well,
payment-
why was it that high in 19 versus 18 when I didn't go?
19 is just what's budgeted. It's not what's been spent.
Well, it should have been what was spent. We did it in 2019, or January of 19, right? That should be actual.
It doesn't show on the budget worksheet as actual. It shows on the spreadsheet, it shows what the actual was.
So this is just what was budgeted?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Payment to another political subdivision, that comes out of our real estate taxes. It's for a health district something. Other insurance and bonding, well, this is obviously our insurance for our buildings and our vehicles. I increased it a little bit each year, just based on the increases that we've had in the past. Office supplies, I went down to 1,500. This is for my office supplies and like yours, not Dale's. I decreased small tools and minor equipment. Other supplies and materials I took down or kept the same. Other expenses is like Judy Case. I think maybe Jenny's comes out of other expenses too.
What about Carol?
Carol's is professional services. It's farther down.
Okay.
There's Jenny's. Other salaries is, that's Jenny's because it's for buildings and grounds for her cleaning. Social Security, this line item is 0. I discovered about a month ago that my Social Security, because someone told me that's where it should come from, was taken out of this, and it should really be taken out of administrative. And because mine was that way, I set Mr. Kolb's up that way. So I've switched it so now everything comes out of the 110 category like it should. So that's why it's 0 for next year. Other professional and technical, that's Carol. There's something else that's in there besides just Carol. I think some of Jack Grove's initially came out of that.
Is that why 18 was so high?
Yes. Garbage is Rumpke, obviously. Repairs and maintenance, I decreased. We're really gonna have to, keep an eye on some of these expenditures that can go either way. Telephone is pretty much always the same. Electricity is down a little bit, because the chief has taken over the electricity for the firehouse and for the station in Shandon. Water and sewage, same thing, it's a little less because chief took over some of those the expenses for his buildings. The other utilities, the 12 grand, that's for propane. And we have nothing left on our contract with Hiab from this year. So whatever propane we think we're gonna need, we'll have to foot the whole bill for 2020.
Connie, let me ask one question on the township, go back a little bit, township memorial buildings and grounds. If we mow the grass here or down at the other buildings, is that part of this, or does that go into road and bridge?
That's road and bridge, that comes out of their salaries. We don't separate that out.
Okay.
Operating supplies,
All right, you threw a loop at me.
okay.
Didn't we do the propane like we did before?
Yeah, we
But we've
prepaid
used
it.
that much?
We had maybe $60 left at the end of the year, which they just automatically credited on our June bill for the gas and diesel.
Okay.
And actually, now that
What do you mean by, the propane should be separate from gas and diesel?
it's separate from gas and diesel until we get to the end, and they're not figuring we're gonna do any more propane off of our prepay from 2018 into 2019. So we had like 60-some dollars, I think, was what was left. And so rather than carrying that over on an account for like 3 more months, they just put that on as a credit on our gas and diesel.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay? But we're gonna have to pay that bill in August, so really there should be 12 grand here, or at least 10. I don't know do you have any idea what propane prices are right now, Rob? I don't either.
I think the last one I bought was 160, 140, No, that was last year. Never mind.
I don't remember what mine was.
I usually wait and buy in like July. It's the cheapest.
So that
What is current price of propane?
will have to increase for 2019. This next one, zoning salaries, that's Dale's salary. The reason, I'm not sure why it says 22,169, but it should just be 22,000. That is his OPERS, his Medicare, training services for the conferences that he goes to. I stated 1,000. His contracted services, that's Carroll and Jack Grove, and that's why it's significantly less for 2020. Because I figured we weren't going to be spending a lot of money on Jack Grove. His office supplies I kept the same. Small tools and minor equipment, I went to 0 for next year because there's just not money in the budget for him to get any extra equipment. Other expenses, I left at 1,500 just in case something else comes up. Contracted services
Now,
are,
because he's salary, he's considered like a full-time employee, we have to pay OPERS.
doesn't matter if they're
Doesn't matter.
full-time or part-time. We have to pay OPERS on Jenny
any-
too.
Okay, all right,
And the summer help,
that's right.
everybody's, the only ones that can get out of it are elected officials. Anybody else has to be in OPERS. And if you were elected official a long time ago, you're just out of luck.
Yep.
Okay, this contracted services in 190, that's our Pro Alert. That's probably our biggest one, is what that's for. We also have modern office methods for the copiers, and that's something that Jeff and I have talked about maybe going down to just like one central copier in this building for myself and Dale and Rob. You guys aren't on that contract, but those are the 3 copy machines. I'll have to see, I mean, I know we fulfilled our initial contract, but maybe find, you know, somewhere that we could make like one nice copier like they have at the fire station, because they're paying a lot less than we are in a contract, and they've got a much better copier. Because yours is what, $75 a month at the most,
Something like that. Yes.
plus your overage, and
Yeah.
ours is $400 for 2 of them for 3 months or something. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Streetlights,
We don't own them copiers then.
not those 3.
One
Just
back
one
in
in-
my office, they don't own that one?
No, yours is just like mine. And the
I
big
thought
one
we
in
bought
Dale's.
one of those.
That's what I was thinking, that the one in my office, that we owned that one.
One of them we've bought. I think
Okay.
they just got it under contract to service it.
Okay,
I could be wrong on that, but I could have swore one of them was bought.
I was thinking it was that one back in my office, because that's why it was put in my office, because you bought it. And I don't know who, if it was Joe or Lila that wanted the new copier for the fiscal office. That's why there's a new copy machine in the fiscal office. The big copy machine.
well, the one that I have from UAN doesn't scan, it doesn't fax. I mean, it's, the one from UAN, it's not a full-service copier.
That's like a printer, right?
Yeah, it's more like a printer.
All right,
Okay.
I'm good with looking into that.
Okay. Streetlights, contracted services for lighting, I took down to 0. I didn't see why we would have anything for next year in that. You can see
All our
the,
streetlights went to LED yet?
I'd have to drive them tonight and see. I know a lot of them have, but I don't know for sure.
It'd be worth changing, because that would save us.
they're not our streetlights. Are they? They're Duke's.
Well, we
Butler
have more
Rural.
than just with Duke. We have streetlights at Butler Rural Electric also.
Streetlights or security lights?
Streetlights.
Because they're billing it as a security light, or else they're just billing it, they don't bill it separate like Duke does.
Probably just a generic, when they built it.
Yeah,
I'm sure the one at Chapel and,
Well-
Hamilton Scipio's new because.
That's-
They took it out.
That's a Duke one.
Yeah, that one.
But the one at Chapel and Lehigh is a Butler Rural. Northwind and Lehigh is Butler Rural. Shawnigan and Bay's Butler Rural.
Do they charge you a flat fee per month for the light, or do they actually meter the electric usage?
Just a flat fee for the light.
So that it doesn't matter if it's LED or not? It's not gonna save us anything. They're not metering the electricity.
They're putting them
usage.
to LED themselves whenever someone
Okay.
calls
Yeah,
into
you're
trouble.
good, you're good. I was thinking we were paying electric on them, but
No.
that's just
they're
the
all-
ones here.
They're just a flat fee.
All right.
okay. Other salaries, you'll see that's zeroed out for 19 and 20 because we're no longer taking the road department out of general fund. I think that's it. So that leaves us with, at the end of the year, providing the carryover and everything is the same, with 139,000 in the general fund at the end of 19 and 200 and almost 10,000 in the end of 2020. I will have to make those couple of corrections, and I will have those before tomorrow night's meeting, but within $10,000, that's where we're going to be.
Okay.
Okay,
Do you
21,
thi- Connie, is that an adequate, is that I got about 212,000, but is that an adequate cushion that you would like you would want to see in 2020?
Well, I just see more, but it's.
Yeah, I'd like to see more. I
Well,
mean,
I mean adequate.
it's adequate.
I mean,
if
what is
we-
typical?
We had temporary appropriations of 200,000 for the first quarter of this year. We didn't use it all, but that's where I would like to see it. I mean, this 139 is going to be,
Tight.
it's going to be tight.
So
you
the
know.
139 for 19,
Yeah, that's what'll
Okay.
carry over into 2020. That's going to be tight.
okay.
Personally, I'd like to see over 400,000 when you go
Yeah.
into the next year would be nice.
I'd like to be like 16,
But yeah.
Yeah, but
801. Wouldn't that be nice?
Because if something happens, 139,000 ain't shit, if you really think about it.
yeah.
Recorded.
Okay, the next is 2111. This is the motor vehicle license tax. We get $11,000, and that's what we've budgeted every year. You know, when I went back, it's coming in at a little bit more than that, but again, I hate to say we're going to get that and then we don't. $6 interest, so $11,006 is our revenue for that account for the year.
What comes out of it?
I've been taking operating supplies and salt out of it. So, and I didn't, the operating supplies I left the same, the salt I increased because I took the salt out of 2031, the road and bridge, so that the only thing coming out of road and bridge was salaries and insurance. So that's why it's higher for 2020. That would leave a carryover at the end of this year of 18,000 and at the end of 2020 of 10,000. And just to remind you guys, these carryovers aren't written in stone. It just depends
Right.
on what happens the rest of this year and the next year. Okay, 2021 is the gasoline tax. This is the one that we expect the increase for, hopefully. It's figured at 80,000 for this year. If you see in the past, it has been more than that. So I bumped it to 90 for next year, just because I think with the increase in the gas tax, I'm hoping it'll go up that much, and we're still really under what we took in 92.
What were they, if I remember right, when we went to the engineer's office, when they proposed it was higher, would have brought us like 57,000 more, and they cut that in half. So maybe we'll get 20,000
Okay.
if we're lucky.
Well,
But
then-
if we don't plan for it and we get it, we're good.
Right,
Right.
right. Let's see, that one does get interest. Because it has more in it, it gets more interest. Then I took the training services for the workshops and things that the guys have to go to. I increased repairs and maintenance, contracted services, which is like A&A safety, operating supplies, salt, fuel. I left the machinery and equipment the same as it was this year. You know, that's something that can always be taken out, but based on that, that leaves like 117,000 at the end of this year and 131 at the end of next year. No, that's not right.
No.
Yeah, I didn't look right. One more page. 78,000 at the end of this year and 37 at the end of next year.
Right, okay.
All right. Next one is 2111. That's the fire district.
Oops. I got
We got
2031.
2031.
Road and
Okay.
bridge.
Oh,
I got mine out of order then. Okay. 2031, road and bridge. Okay. This negative 63,115, they were increased 27,254, and then we took out the 90,369.13 for their salaries last year. leaves them with a fund balance adjustment of 63,11513. Property taxes have been right around that 145,000. I didn't want to increase that. The fees for insurance, that's for the last 6 months of this year. 2020's is for the entire year. Those are both based on 15%. The property tax allocation comes from the state. It will probably be a little more, like I've said, it's hard to predict what those are going to be because the second half is never as much as the first half. So I left that where I've had it in the past. So there is a chance there could be a little more there.
Did you skip over, or did I miss the health insurance?
I said, if the 47 was
Right.
for 15% of the last 6 months of this year, and then the 9,500 is 15% for
the
all
whole
of
year.
next year.
For all three?
For all three,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
That's the way it's set right now.
Okay.
Okay, that's your revenue, your tax collection fees. I know this looks a lot higher, but the tax collection fees this year have already been like $2,000. And it's, like I said, it's hard to predict what that second half is going to be. So I'm keeping it up there just to have that cushion.
So doesn't Roger Reynolds' office give back at the end of the year?
They did last year, but they haven't said anything about doing it this year.
Okay, but that would be, reverse some of that 35.
Some of his collection fees.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and that's something we could ask David Brown the next time he comes.
Mhm.
The salaries, I've kind of just rounded up to 142 for this year and 143 for next year. So your OPERS is 10% of each one of those. Medicare, there's the medical at 31.5 is 6 months of this year. 64,000 is next year. This is the actual cost.
Is that just for the 3 of us employees?
Yes.
And that's still with us giving 15%?
That's the cost. That you're giving your 15% back is in the revenue. So if it's 64,000 and you guys are giving back 95, it's 54, so
About 50.
54.5
Yeah.
is
Well, we
your,
figured almost 22,000 a person, health insurance a year.
That's how much our health insurance is a year?
Yeah.
well, the family, just the health insurance, the family plan is $1,600 a month.
I thought it was 17 something.
Yeah, it was 1767.
That was with your your dental and your vision.
Okay. All right.
But just the health insurance is $1,600.
So that doesn't come out of the hospital?
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
That's all in there.
so it's 1767 is what you're paying right now for 1%. So the 99% times 1767 is what the township's paying per person.
You can see I took out the repairs and maintenance, I took out operating supplies, I took out other expenses, so the only thing coming out of road and bridge are salaries, obviously tax collection fees and retirement and the fringe benefits that we've got to take out. That would be somewhere that we could maybe help this fund is if we took the OPERS next year out of general fund. I don't think we've got the money to do it for this year, but one of Frank's suggestions was to go back and recapture the health insurance fees for this year that we took out of general. There's not enough funds there to do that. He's been throwing ideas around so we could see if we could come up with the money. So that leaves at the end of 19, Road and Bridge would have almost $28,000. But the end of 2020 it would be in the negative 26.4. So like I said, that's where we've got to figure out how to come up with 26,000.
And that would be carrying nothing over.
And that would be carrying nothing over, that's right.
I know how we used to do it. We took it out of the general fund. Once it went to where there was nothing left, then we would pay into it. That's how we always used to do
Right,
his. Yes,
but,
was keep it all basically almost zeros. Use the money that was there and then go to general. Then we would know with what we had in the money, whether we had money to do other stuff, the roads, equipment,
right,
because you can always take it from there over, but you can't go over there.
You can take it from the general fund, put it in road and bridge, but you can't take it from road and bridge and put it to the general fund.
Correct.
right.
Okay.
All right, so we are fire district.
Yeah. So we're at fire district. That fund balance adjustments, that's the actual amount that they got that was part of our 173 that came out of general. I left their general, the property tax the same. It's not really been that high. It wasn't last year, and I'm not sure why. But it's been, you know, we had a good
Are you talking,
contribution
this
so
is
far.
from the levies, correct?
Yes, this is
Yes,
from the
This
levy.
is the fire levy.
You can almost take, what is it, like 2 to 3% off each year they lose, we get coming in.
Okay,
Because it'll drop every year, a little bit. And I don't know why, I don't understand it, but it always
Yeah.
has. So if you got like 440 this year, you might only get 430 next year. And I don't understand that,
well,
but
I'm sure I don't know.
it's the way it works for some unknown reason.
Property tax allocation, I've left at 40. Expenditures is the tax collection fees. Again, I'm going by, you know, what the first half was. It seemed to be higher than it was the first half in 18, so I've left it up there just, you know, to be safe. Other salaries is the chief, and then there's points, Social Security, Medicare, training services. The chief and I kind of went over these figures. These could be tweaked, but
What, I just caught this because I didn't catch it earlier today. What's the difference in the salaries from the previous 16, 17, 18, to 19, and 20?
Yeah, why'd it go from 90 to 150?
I wish.
it, because remember we had to take some of the salaries out of 2111 when 2191 ran out of money.
So it is firefighters and not just the chief.
It's firefighters and not just the chief, yes.
Oh, yeah, because I looked at it over on the other sheet you printed out on
Yeah.
this one. Okay.
And so that's why everything else is higher too, because we paid about, we figure 6
We're
weeks.
short. We're about 6 paychecks a year we're short and have
Yeah.
to pay it out of the fire fund.
There were about 6 paychecks
The levy
that had to come
did
out of
some, but not a
2111.
lot.
So all these expenses are, you know, pretty much the same. If you have any questions, Chief probably answer those better than I could. But
What's contracted services?
that's like his copy machine,
Finley to do the every quarter air check on the compressor, the SCBA compressor,
national hose testing.
national hose testing, and do the hose and ladders.
So what's the difference between that and repairs and maintenance? Is maintenance what you guys do yourself and
That's
just like,
repairs and maintenance is.
Would that be
It's like when we
a
take it to
truck?
Daniel or
Daniel.
something like that, but the contracted services, we actually have a contract to do those maintenance
okay.
things that are required.
Yeah,
We do that with the cots too, right? Don't you have that?
that's going to come out of 2281. That's the EMS billing, but yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I pretty much just left everything the same as it was for 19.
What's operating supplies?
Paper towels,
So it went from 25 to 61, from 18 to 19?
that's just when I was doing appropriations, I didn't want to have a lot of money in contingencies, so I had to put it somewhere.
Okay.
So that would also be like any new equipment, that's, you know, like not a huge expense, but
Small tools, that was a big jump.
what was
Small
Such
tools,
as
Minor
SCBA's.
repair,
small tools and minor equipment.
budget 20,000, and in 18, we only spent 2.
Yeah, but
19, we spent 62.
no, we haven't spent that. That's what's
That's out-
budgeted.
Okay.
That's what's budgeted, but in 19, I budgeted 20,000, but 62 would be the air packs.
Yeah,
The air packs.
Okay. All right.
So in 2020, it really is not going to be that.
no.
2020, it's really not going to be 62,000. We're not buying
Okay.
air packs, so that's going to come down significantly. I only budgeted 20,000 for small tools and minor repairs. And just to reiterate, it's the craziest thing I think I've seen is the way the state does these line items. So something is like, you only own it 5 years, it becomes a small tool and equipment. If you are going to have it for some other reason and some time, then you have to do another category. Well, we know we're going to keep the SCBA's more than 5 years, but they meet in these strange categories, and that's why some of them go crazy, because like I said, small tools and I only budgeted for 19, $20,000 and air packs, but we go back to 2020, it won't be anywhere near 62 again. It's going to
Okay.
be back down probably in the 20,000 range.
Okay, I'll have to make that change.
Yeah, I just caught that one because I went
Okay.
over this all morning and I missed that. So yeah, that'll be significantly lower,
So
Connie.
it's similar to what other expenses?
And that-
So
because
754 to 15,000?
yeah, because other than is another strange category. It has another strange category of you keep it longer than 10 years, but it's not attached to the vehicle or something. They just have
Well,
strange categories.
Other expenses can be, I mean, it's kind of like whatever doesn't fit
Yeah,
into one of the categories
like a
above that.
catch-all, yeah.
It's the catch-all line.
But will that be?
It shouldn't be
Did
that
you
much.
budget 15,000 for 2020?
Other expenses was done 15,000. We spent $780 in 18.
Yeah.
So it possibly will go down, yes.
Okay. I'm just, if I
Yep.
see something that
No.
looks a little,
Yeah, oh, I know.
Please, as Chief can see, when you look at these numbers, after a
Oh, I'm
while, you
sure.
just don't see everything that's really there. I don't have anything on here about the bond or the loan or anything like that, because we don't even,
Ooh,
I
I
mean,
know something else. I know where there was some other high contract
Okay.
was high was Brandstetter and Carroll.
yeah, I can,
yeah, and that's contracted
That
services.
Contracting Brandstetter and Carroll, the 28,000 we've already paid to them is in there.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
so based on these figures, there'll be 914,000 at the end of this year and 809 at the end of next. But again, there's nothing in there for the renovation. None of those expenses are in there because I don't have anywhere close to a ballpark to even start putting anything in there.
Right.
All right. The next is 2191. This is the EMS special levy. This is what the firefighters are paid from. It comes through as real estate tax. It jumped because of the new levy kicks in this year. So that's why it's 479. Property tax allocation should go up to 10. That's really all the revenue. Expenses are tax collection fees, salaries. And then the reason that, like OPERS, we have one firefighter that's on OPERS. Social Security and Medicare, the reason those have went down is because we started paying those out of 2281 just to keep more funds in 2191. 2281 is the EMS money that we get from squad runs.
Billing.
Yeah, from the billing. So that's why there's a sharp decrease there and zero for next year.
Okay.
And Chief and I have already talked about that. We can change that if we need to. And the reason there was that small amount for this year, especially in Social Security and Medicare, when Alicia came back, I didn't catch that hers was still set up the old way. So her first paycheck, I'll fix that. So hers comes out of 2281.
And I just thought of something else. Buddy Jackson is going to fire school in August. So he will get off of OPERS and go on the, he'll be out of OPERS, he's going to fire school.
He can't come out of OPERS, I don't think, once he's in.
We'll have to check on that.
Yeah.
Because he's going into fire school, so he no longer,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll have to check on that.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause I
That'll
think they're,
have to change because his classification is changing.
Yep,
yeah, 'cause I think you're,
yep, he goes to fire
Because
school, he's no longer.
there was a whole
as-
bunch of people was all upset when JR made them all become firemen and made it, because he wanted to go into police and fire stuff.
Yeah,
There was a whole lot of people were upset that they was being taken out of PERS because of that.
yeah, but there's something, like, once you classify as fire, I don't think you're allowed in that. There is something there.
You're right, you're not.
Yeah,
But
but
these
see-
people are already in it, were already being paid PERS, and then was forced to go from PERS to police and fire.
but if they're part-time, they don't get police and fire.
Correct.
Then why aren't they still getting PERS if they're part-time?
Because they're in the fire department, they're not, it's different, but the
I
reason
think
that.
when you do EMS alone, you can be in OPERS, but if you do fire,
Yes.
you cannot be
Right,
in.
and right now Buddy
Once
is
you
only,
classify fire,
Buddy is
you're not
only,
allowed in OPERS, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think that's correct, Brett.
And that's the reason why people got upset, that he was saying they had to be
Classified as fire?
Classified as a firefighter EMT, because everybody that was working there was just classified as an EMT, even if they was
In fire.
firefighters.
Okay,
And that's what they all got upset about.
Well,
okay.
that wasn't him and that wasn't us, that's their rules. But yeah,
So,
Okay. I don't remember enough to argue with you on that, so, okay, you're,
So had we not transferred $71,904 in, we would have only been carrying over like 40,000?
yes,
Yes, that's why we have to pay usually 6 paychecks, pay
Out-
periods out of the fire levy.
and, just to remember, we instituted the new pay scale at the beginning of April, whatever the date was that coincided with payroll. So, we're paying more than we
That and
were a
the
year ago.
longevity.
Yeah,
That and
But we-
the longevity.
and that and the longevity, right?
Right.
So that's going to increase, I may not have figured enough, but
Right.
again, that's another thing that's hard to predict,
Yep.
And we've got, 2 in paramedic school?
We have 2 in paramedic school.
So that,
their pay will go up once they,
They'll jump
Certified.
$2 an hour each.
okay?
all right, 2231, this is a license tax from the motor vehicle department. It comes in 2 separate things, and they're always almost identical. So the permissive tax revenue is, we've always, in the county, has always set this at 11,200. And then there's also a motor vehicle license tax, and it's, like I said, they're always almost identical. In some of these figures, you know, like on these revenues, I can set it higher, but when the county approves our budget, they can set it lower. So, this one does get interest. Again, I kind of kept it low because our checking account is a little lower. This one, contracted services, again, it's like A&A safety or,
So salt's coming out of that too?
yeah, because I took it out of road and bridge. So, because if I'd have left it in road and bridge would have been 40,000 in the hole instead of 20.
So how much do we spend actually on salt a year?
Well, see, and that's the other thing. Rob's got the salt bins full.
Right.
Depending on what kind of winter we have, he may not need anywhere near this much. He didn't use all of what we had appropriated for this year.
Average is what, between 400 and 600 ton a year. Good years, we've had 10 by any salt. And then we had the bad years where we were 900 tons. Actually, a little bit more than that.
950 was the worst year.
Yeah.
Cheapest year was 250 ton. And that
So-
was just 3 years ago.
So what do we have on hand right now with the
There's
salt?
480 ton out there in the shed right now, because you guys told me
So
to
on an
fill.
average year, that would pretty much take care of the whole year?
Well, average year, no. Average year, that's what we base buying salt on, is the average year is 650 ton of salt.
Okay.
That's average what we use on a year's time. But the last few years, it hasn't been that. Like, I don't know what we used this year, because I don't have the numbers, what I ordered, I've got it back there, but I know I didn't buy 650 ton of salt this year. It's more like 450, maybe 500 is what I bought this year. But the shed is full right now, so obviously I'm not gonna buy any more this year, because what's in there now will get me through November and December, and I'll be into 2020 before I have to buy again.
Okay.
And
Hopefully.
then I still should be able to get through the month of January and some of February before that salt shed would be empty if I wasn't to buy any at all.
Unless we have like that one year and it started in October.
Yeah.
That's happened before. But on average, January is your bad month. That's when you have most of your storms, usually mid to the end of January, with a few here and there, and one bad one in March.
So
How soon do you have to bring Rob's budget to a zero balance, a non-negative number? You said you're
I
short
have
in
to-
his account.
I
right now.
have to have the budget approved by July 15th and have it to Mike Stein by the 19th.
Could you use this permissive motor vehicle tax? I know you just can't use that to build, but you could use it to cover another account, can't you? Could that be used to help Rob's road and bridge out?
I can't move the money from that to road and bridge, no.
But you can pick salary out.
I could, well, I'm not sure about that.
What for?
I'd have to double check.
The road and permissive 2231 going to Rob's account.
Yeah, but if you look at the bottom line in 2020, that account's only gonna have $66 left in it. There's not much there to help anything else out.
But in this year you could cover it. You might have to readjust it next year, but this year you could make it if you had to. I was just looking for the money. I didn't think the auditors would let you show a negative balance in the budget.
No, they won't. That's why I said we've gotta figure out how we're gonna do that. if we're gonna pay, you know, Stephen's salary is the lowest, if we're gonna pay it out of a different, go back and pay it out of general, or, you know, I mean, and there's not a lot of extra money to pay out of general either. Okay, the last one is 2281. This is the EMS fund, the billing fund. I kept it the same as what we had figured for 19, just because we hear AC tell us all the time that, you know, we're getting less and less per run. The salaries that are here are from minimum manning. This comes out of 2281. And then you'll see that the OPERS, then the Social Security and the Medicare are much higher than they were in 18 because we're taking that out of this fund instead of the 2191 levy fund. Professional and technical is Dr. Huff.
I just go back, the minimum manning is running about $4,000 a year less than, it's projected to be about 3,000 to 4,000 less than what I had budgeted at 18. So Connie has it at 18 again, but it's gonna end up being about 13 to 14 by the end of the year if it keeps going the way it is.
Okay. And again, I'm trying to kind of do this as worst case scenario. Chief and I kind of went over this today. The Verizon bill is for the tablets in the squads. Well, they were paying us out of the EMS billing fund.
What's contracted services?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
That's like the striker maintenance.
Yeah, thank you.
The maintenance for the life packs to physio control.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's a standard. They come every 6 months to recalibrate. So that's how we can get by with those.
They
being
do the
contract
AEDs
services.
too, don't they?
They do the AEDs and the life packs, yes. The stair chairs that we got, the automated stair chairs is in that contract services. Operating supplies is drugs, medicines.
So if we were to come up with a livable number, to put the addition on the firehouse, what fund would that come out of? The fire?
Coming out of the fire levy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Which is all the time we've been worked in the bonds and all that, we had always come out of there. So, yep, we had those, from what was given last, we had the projections of what it would be a year. I think it was somewhere around 60,000 a year. However, the interest rates just are getting ready to drop, which will both do, I'm sure LCMB will drop their rate they budgeted, or they quoted us, and then the USDA loan that we qualify for will probably drop as well. So, and I'll totally cover my meeting with Mike Carroll tomorrow's meeting.
Should be interesting.
Oh, it's very interesting.
Okay.
So at the end of this year, we're predicting 86. At the end of next year, 15.
So
And
looking
that's-
forward to
that's-
2021, what do we?
Yeah, and that's very questionable because we're like, what, almost 40 runs ahead this year?
Right.
So we're
Insurance aren't
collecting
paying.
more, we're billing more people. It's how much the collections are coming
Right.
back.
We're getting less, but we're billing more.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
And Chief and I have talked about, you know, we don't want to, but we could go back and take the Social Security or the Medicare or something and take it back out of 2191 because there's $40,000 right there
Right.
in those three things. So,
The other one is Lieutenant Browning has really done a great job doing the ordering of the meds and the drugs, and I think that we're gonna see a significance in the lowering of the cost of operating, which is primarily the medical supplies. I think we'll see that, and then we drop training. We dropped a couple other things down, and I think there'll be some other ones that'll go down where I think, to be realistic, it'll be a lot more than 15,000 carry over in 2020. However, we just went with that number for now for Connie.
Okay.
And this, I mean, you know, we have to turn this in to the county, but our actual budget will be when I do the permanent appropriations in March. And we have a better idea of what we carried over and all of that. So, anyone have any suggestions?
So, a typical year, I know we bit the bullet, I guess, and we bought enough salt now to fill the salt bins so they're full for the beginning of the winter. But we got 3 different accounts that salt's coming out of. We got one for 20,000, one for 10,000, and one for 8,000. So 38,000. Is that realistic for salt, or is that inflated? That just seems like a lot of money for salt. What is it a ton? If we save
Well, the
our
price
worst
went
care,
up $10 a ton this year, so it was,
We've been anywhere from what, $56 a ton to
Well,
70
we're-
some dollars a ton.
we're 73.89 right now, I believe is what the current contract
I think you're
is
right.
for. Last year it was 64, so we went up basically $10 a ton.
Some years, if you fill it,
And,
you
and let's say
save.
that this year I used 500 tons of salt, because that's what I put back in the barn. We didn't use all that because the barn is full.
that's 37,000.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It just seemed like a lot of money for salt. But so,
Well, hold on here. Let's.
Well, just an example, the $10 difference saved us $4,800. Just in what's in that,
Right.
in the
right. 'cause we
back
got
there.
Right.
Because if you bought it when it's cheaper and filled that up instead of it going up. But then there's been a couple of years, I think we lost a little too, because we went ahead and did it and then it went down. Because you
That
don't
only
know.
happened maybe once. That usually doesn't happen.
And
So-
we've been most of the time to the good, but I think one year we got, it was like crap. But it's a crapshoot.
So if we bought 650 ton based at $74 a ton, that's $48,100. That's what basically should be budgeted. So how much do we have in the budget there? Because there was,
38,000. So
we have
got
38,000 budgeted.
3 different accounts. We got 20, 10, and 8. So 38,000. So we got budgeted. But like you said, we've got 480 ton that was bought this year that will carry us through the first part of the winter months of 2019.
I mean, that's basically what we used last year, because I just filled the barn back up of what we used out of it.
Worst case scenario, we had to buy 200 and we emptied it for the year. You're only buying 200 or 250.
But then at the end
But
of the year,
then you're
the
empty.
summer or whenever, we're going to fill it up again, so we're going to go another 480, so we'll
Yeah.
still be 680.
I said worst case scenario.
I understand, but, okay.
That's just one of them evils that unless you want to go back to what we did,
Start mixing the sand
start
in it.
mixing sand and salt, and then you're not going to have the gooder roads, and I'm going to turn the phone off then. Because right now, I
If
mean,
we
that-
have to, we do it. If we don't, we don't. I mean, it's always an option. We did that one year.
Well, let me ask you guys this: is I'm hearing that we're going to have to pay 15% of our health insurance now, and we're still short on money here and stuff. Is how are we going to be able to do our own chip sealing and stuff? Then are you still going to be able to do that even with being that there? I mean, we won't be able to do anything at all? Because, I mean, it sounds to me like we're just fix the holes that happen and that's it. I mean, get your $26,000 back, sell the tar distributor. So actually, we'd sell it for more than that. We'd sell it for 40.
Well, the chip seal is still part of the solution. The chip seal and sealer,
Yeah, but it
there's still
doesn't sound like
roads.
there's enough money there to even do that, though.
Well, then we're gonna, I mean, the only option you have is to throttle it back, do less, or be more selective, or patch more roads until we can. I mean, you know I'm an advocate of paving,
Right.
and I know that's expensive. But we always talked about that chip seal. There's certain roads in the township that we could use the chip seal with. So I'd hate to see us try to resell what we bought, because I know we'd take a bath on it. So if we can use it and Riley can get up and running, then there's an opportunity there.
I don't think we would take a bath. I think we could, like you said, we could probably sell it.
Yeah, because
The only problem is if you turn around and you sell it, and then we need it back, it'll probably cost us more to get it again.
well,
yeah,
there's no
Once
doubt
you got
about
it and
that,
it's
but-
there,
But what I'm seeing right now is that, I mean, I'm not saying that that's what I want to do, but
well, we may end up having to put a levy on to an operating levy, and then we have the money to do the chip sealing. I don't know the answer. Because we wouldn't be the only township doing it. There's quite a few. I think we're all kind of in this boat.
Here we are.
Um,
And I didn't budget a lot for the gas tax increase. I budgeted some, Rob, but not a lot, because we just don't know.
well, and here's another thing that I brought up to Connie today is I was told that the Tallgrass pipeline is in litigation with the state of Ohio because the state of Ohio tried to go from like $4 million a year in taxes to $22 million in taxes. So Tallgrass took the state of Ohio to court saying that that was unfair. So by it being in court, we're not getting that money now because it's in litigation.
you're correct. We may go 5 years, 10 years not see it, and then all of a sudden we may get a big chunk.
Right.
Because once they have to pay, they got to pay all that back tax too. But
Whatever they decide on it.
right. But you don't know what it'll be or if it'll be anything or what. So you don't count on it, and if we get
Well, I
it, great.
know, I'm not counting on it, but I'm just saying is that the reason why, because we're not getting that money, that we're hurting so bad?
I think everything's went down on our incomes, and everything
Or
on our
stayed the
bills
same.
have went up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just look at what it costs to do the roads, like the chip seal and the blacktop. They went up what 200% or 400% or whatever they said at the engineer.
I agree,
And yet our pay coming ins went down. Well, everything's went up.
I mean,
Well,
So you're doing a lot more with, or
we've heard time and time again from many entities at Butler County Township Association meetings that Kasich said he was going to balance the budget, and he balanced it at the township expenses.
Yeah.
But your intentions are for roads to come out of general fund, is that correct? The expenses of that?
It almost has to.
It
Yeah,
has
I
to.
don't
We
know
don't
where-
have
there's
to
no
come
more
out.
money.
It
That's the
wouldn't
best.
come out of Rob's, so you're
That's the
talking
way it
his
used to do.
expenses
Right.
for road materials
Right.
would come out of general fund, but the salaries to still do the roads would be in his operating funds.
Right.
But there's
which
not the funds in
basically lets
general
us
to do
know,
it.
yeah, we have money. No, we don't have money. Or we only have this much to work with. We got to make do.
But Rob, what was your figure for a mile of road chip seal? I want to say it was like 20,000 or something like that for materials.
I thought it was 30.
Just
Okay.
for materials. 'cause
Materials,
the labor
because the
we're
labor is already
paying.
paid. That's a figure that probably needs to be revisited.
That would be
kind of
just
give you a
your-
rough idea of how
your
many miles of
tar and
road
your,
you can do your expenses out of general
gravel.
fund. But is Riley's machine fixed to even
No,
start?
that's not even close, so.
You know,
And I'm sure they don't have the money to fix it.
Their new road superintendent says he'll get it fixed. I'll believe that when I see it, so. Because supposedly he's coming in on Saturdays, but he can't be paid overtime. He's just building up his comp time to work on Saturdays so he can work on it by himself so no one's there to bother him.
Have
what
you
I've been
noticed
told.
anything that's needing more immediate attention on the roadside than what you've seen over the last 6-8 months? You bring that up, I'm
Well, right
thinking
now,
you've
I've
got something
got-
on your mind.
I have 4 culverts that were not on the radar 3 months ago that are now on the radar because one of them is on Lehigh Road with all this rain. It is the culvert has rusted out.
Is that email that there was no thread on that
No,
email?
that one was for Chapel Road for a
That-
private driveway
A
pipe.
lady contacted us on, our contact us page on the
I
website.
just copied all of you so you see what my reply was to her. I don't know if she's replied back to it yet or not, or
Hopefully you put pipe instead of pie.
I know, it's pie. I had to put my glasses on. I thought he was getting hungry or something.
might have put pie, I don't know.
You did.
You did.
We know what you meant.
That's why I was trying to figure out, what the hell is pie? What is he talking about?
3.61278, right?
Yeah.
So what, in general fund, where would we, what line item would road repair come out of?
And I'm gonna say these 3 culverts are
Just
probably gonna be
operating,
about,
highway other?
on average, about 4,000 to 5,000 apiece.
I don't know, Tom, I'd have to
Did,
go back
did they
and,
collapse?
'Cause we don't
or
have
what's the-
anything
Not
what
if
happened?
they haven't,
Not
but
yet.
they're close.
I'd have to go
We
back
have
and
any
check
more
with
heavy
my
rains like we did this
object codes
past
and
week,
everything to figure it
we
out.
might be in trouble. Right now, we just went and dumped a bunch of gravel and cold mix in it. That's filled the hole for now, but that ain't gonna stay.
You'd have to
The
be
next
an
big
additional
rain
line
will
item.
wash
I don't
that
see
out
even
too, so-
operating supplies.
But with the
Oh, there
holes
it
at least
is.
Yeah,
filled for now.
highway other,
It's on
Yeah.
page 4,
but we have nothing
operating
budgeted. so-
supplies.
Well, we've never, taken out of that since I've been here, so, I mean, you can see,
Right. So if we did do a mile of chip seal for $30,000, where would that come out of?
I'd say top of line 4, operating supplies. Would that be it, or?
Under what?
are you asking me where we're gonna get that
No,
30,000?
I'm just saying,
What the line item
where
would
have
be.
we done it in the
Oh,
past?
highways, yeah, I see, top of 5, highway.
Yeah, I see that, but we
highways,
have
other,
nothing there.
nothing.
Never
We'd have
did.
Well, I'd have to go back and see
budget.
where that's where Charlotte took it out of, like, years ago.
I know it
since I've
come out
been-
of general, but I couldn't tell you what line item and how she did it.
And I can only go back
'Cause
so
if we did-
far on my computer.
If we did 1 mile of road at 30,000, I don't see where we would get the money.
We don't have it.
That's what I'm saying. So even,
Well, on the end of next year, if you end the year, if your numbers are all very conservative, and if you ended the year at $200,000 and no unforeseen, you could squeeze that out of that.
Probably,
Maybe.
but don't we want to try to build that up
yeah, I mean,
Well, it depends on
for a
what,
rainy day?
what's
In case
the-
we give
what's the
something-
immediate need, how bad's the road, or who's,
Well, immediate
what's
need
happening to
might
the
be these
road?
culverts.
Well, we
Because
know
if you
that,
don't-
I mean, that's
I've just,
right
Yeah,
now.
But that's what I'm saying, where does that come out of? We don't have any money allocated for the culverts right now. That's,
Yeah,
and
what's
there's-
the,
well, it would come out of, like, repairs and maintenance in
For
the
general.
road funds. No, the road funds.
Okay.
but you're red on roads
Red.
right now,
Is
right?
this
Well, it
for
can-
you? Is this for me? Is it permissible?
That's you.
That's you.
That's you.
So gasoline, motor
You have
vehicle
4
license.
budgets. Yes, you have 4 budgets.
Well, how much per culvert, Rob?
I'm just guessing. I can't tell you for sure, but probably 4,000 to 5,000 apiece.
Because you're gonna have to tear up the road
Gonna
and
have to tear up the
re-blacktop
road,
and put
new
concrete.
blacktop. I'm not counting my.
You're not counting the big
Labor.
one, right?
I'm not counting labor. I'm just talking about the flowable fill, the pipe, and the asphalt.
Is that including the big one that you was talking about?
Which big one?
You said there was a big one right there, Lehigh Chapel Road. you mentioned to me, is that
Well,
included?
no, that's not including that one because I know we don't have the money to do that one. That one's a box culvert. That's gonna be way up there. That's gonna be over $50,000 to do that one.
Well, when
and
you
we're
say
gonna-
box culvert, can that be changed to a circular?
If you get a big enough pipe, but
There's where
we're
it
gonna
has
have to have the
come
county
from.
engineers come out and
There's
look at
nowhere
that
else to
because
cut.
that's all right there, actually close to the intersection.
I know.
It's the same intersection where Ross
Yeah,
had
I
the
know what you're
accident.
talking, yeah.
I mean, that's been talked about for years on trying to realign that. That way it could eliminate that steep ditch and might be able to fix the whole problem through there if we can get the county to jump in on that and maybe share some of the cost, but
So is that something we can make for a block grant project?
Eliminate.
that would be a real good block grant project if you ask me, that if we could get the county to go in with us to redo
Hint,
that
hint,
whole
my
intersection.
writer?
But that's not helping road and bridges.
Well, because we need that by, what is that, October,
They were
November?
like
Or October or
August.
I thought it was
September?
30,000.
August.
August.
We'll
I
go
don't know if
general.
county, they won't
many
be able to
pages
get
here?
design early enough to make it this year. They would have to start working on it now to have the design ready for next year's grant cycle. There's
How
no
long
way
does it
they,
take them to do that?
I don't know how long it takes
That's
the county, but
64,000.
they say they're swamped right now.
Perhaps we can put the project in without the details. I can talk to
Maybe they
Desmond.
could give us a
I can talk to
value
Desmond.
amount without the actual details. And try for the block grant. Or at
Because
least-
that right, actually, there is a good thing to all this is that we held off blacktopping or chip sealing Lehigh Road because of these culvert pipes that I wasn't planning on having to replace until all this rain come about, and because I knew they had rust in the flow lines, but I didn't think they was rusted through. Well, there was so much water that went through that it was rusted worse than I thought because it peeled it up and took the bottom right out of it. And that's why all the gravel's eaten out from around and there became a sinkhole in the road. That's what we found. Actually, Mark and Steve found it last week because they had to fill it in. And then got to looking at some of the other pipes and they could stand to be replaced too because they've got heavy rust in the flow lines. And I mean, they're not having to be done right now, but there's at least 2 of them on Lehigh that really need to be fixed before we do anything to that. So it's probably a good thing we didn't do anything there yet. So
Just seems a shame that you can't fix that pipe, that causeway, that flow line, short of digging that whole thing up. It seems like you could somehow, somebody would figure out a way to insert a sleeve in there, extend the life of
there
it.
is a possibility of that. We've done it on another pipe where we sleeved it. I'll have to, it's been so long ago, I don't have any of the information on it or the supplier where I got that pipe, but I mean, it's a possibility we could do that again. Just a possibility.
Yeah. Is that a smooth core pipe or is it one of
No,
those?
right now it's a
wound?
metal corrugated, and that is the thing is now, all the pipes that we replace now, we're replacing with smooth line black plastic. Because if I'd have did that 26 years ago when I replaced all the, this is a pipe that I replaced before.
We wouldn't be doing it now.
We wouldn't be doing it now if we'd have put in plastic.
Yeah, but 26
But
years ago.
back then, the trustees didn't want to use plastic because they was afraid that groundhogs would chew it up and was afraid that somebody would set them on fire and burn them out. I've yet to see one for that to happen. The only thing I've seen happen is where the top of a pipe was exposed and the mower hit the pipe and
Or a
damaged
car
it.
wrecked on it and tore it up a little.
Right.
I burned one up. I threw ash out of the fireplace on some dirt that was just over the top of a black black solid pipe, and it burned it. Went back there 2 days later, and it was burned up.
Huh.
So it does burn.
Oh, yeah.
Those are good.
I just,
Okay,
So what are some of our options to, I mean, obviously if we do 15% pay contributions for each employee for health insurance, that's for now, but you know that's got to go up. And
Have you talked
to
to
what?
Mark and Steve about any of that? Or is this breaking news?
I mentioned it to Mark. I have talked to him. I have not talked to Steve.
I don't think it's gonna sit well.
No,
But I did tell him we're looking at all different options and seeing what can happen.
I mean,
with this.
we
I'm not trying to scare anybody or whatever. I mean, it's very possible that the two of them might start looking elsewhere, so.
well, one's already.
Well, you're right, we know one is already.
Well, I just hope they take into consideration the perks that they're getting in this job.
They're not going to go anywhere else and not, I mean,
And be able
I'm
to
gonna
big-
tell you
big-
right now that I'm too close to retirement to be looking to go anywhere else, so I'm gonna suck it up and go on. Am I gonna like it? No, I don't like it, but I'm
Right.
gonna suck it up and go on, so.
but company's a lot bigger than Morgan Township. The average is pretty much the company pays 60 and the employees pay 40. That's pretty much average anymore. So if they go somewhere else, that's probably what they're going to get.
if they get anything at all.
Yeah, we looked at the possibility of letting everybody go out and price out a policy on their own, and we could supplement it, give them, you know, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, and still be way lower than what we're paying now. But you can't find a policy for individuals, not for long term. It's short term, and it's 1 year, and you can renew it for 1 additional year. So that's only 2 years. It's called short term, and you can't have any pre-existing conditions. Even on renewal in your second year, if you develop something in that first year while they were covering you and you go to renew, that pre-existing condition will eliminate you from being renewed. So that's not an option. Do we go back to just saying single? We'll pay the employees, and if they want a family plan, they pay for that. Or any of the other one. I know Mark's wife's not working, but Lila's working. Do they have her employer offer health insurance?
I have no idea.
I mean, that's things we got to look at. The other option is, do we eliminate for elected officials? You know, that would save about $64,000. But unfortunately, it's not by choice. I mean, it's not like we're going to say we want to see how many people we can tick off, but the money's not there. I mean, it's evident. Poor Connie's been pulling the hair out of her head. I think that's a wig she's got on
I
tonight.
think, yeah. I haven't had a good night's sleep in 2 weeks, so,
So,
Me neither.
yeah, but
You
you're
know.
in Mexico.
Yeah, you really got some money troubles coming at you. I seen on Instagram what you got coming. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think that was going to happen. You told me you were going to shoot him. Oh,
You're on tape. And I never said that. So 15% saves us like 21,000.
it's not enough.
It's not, I know it's not.
I mean, even 15% this year for the rest of the year is not enough. I will say again, if we're going to do the increase at 15% or higher, I would still like to see, and I don't know where we're going to find the money, but I would like to see these guys get mid-year raises, because this, especially, like for Rob getting towards the end of his career, his salary determines what his retirement's going to be. And Mark and Steve may not look at it that way, but they should be. You know, that makes a difference. But when push comes to shove, our biggest expenditure is elected officials' health insurance. So, to me, that's where the cut needs to be. Because I don't think you can go out and ask the public to pass an operating levy when you're spending those kind of dollars for our health insurance when the money's just not there.
So we're budgeting $64,000 for health insurance for elected officials. And $64,000 for the road crew. But we have 4 elected and 3 road crews. So I know the 3 road crew are all
They're all family.
Brett and I are family. You're just
Employee and
plus
spouse.
1, and you're just employee, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's why it balances that. Or
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we were hoping to start the 15% July 1st. And was it last Friday or the Friday before?
Last
We were
Friday.
going to meet with, because you were gone, we were going to meet with Steve and Mark, but they weren't here Friday. Jeff and I were going to meet with them because you couldn't meet.
I wouldn't have made it.
And so we didn't, and then we kind of come up with the idea of maybe offering single plans. So we had Connie talk to Frank and see what was available, but that was a kind of a dead end.
I mean, that's a big chunk. You know, if we say you've got to pay all the rest of your family, they're looking at $1,100
Yeah.
plus per month. And
Yeah.
I can't in
They're
good
not-
conscience,
Yeah, they're not going
Tell
to have
them.
much to take home.
yeah, you can't do that. We have to give Anthem 60 days notice if we're
Going to drop.
going to drop anyone from the plan.
What would happen, last time we did this, we renegotiated our deductibles. Is there any room to keep going down that road to drop healthcare costs?
It's a possibility, but I talked with Frank today and it's not enough.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not
you
going to be
could-
enough.
You could do a high deductible. He said the premiums are lower, but it's
They're
gonna
not
save-
much longer.
It's not going to save you that much
Costs
money.
each employee $3,300 a year for the 15%.
A year. Or
15% times 22,000. That's a rough estimate. That's not exact numbers.
Yeah, because it come out like 21 something. It's right close to 22.
So I said 22,000 for a family health care
Right.
plan,
yeah,
and
you're
you pay 15% of that. That's $3,300.
yeah, because she's got $9,500 budgeted for income from
From
payroll
the three of you.
deductions.
Yeah,
So that's about right, $3,300 a month or a year
Yeah.
per employee. So it's $1,767
$1737.15 right now.
1767. But anyway, 1% was the payroll deduction was 1767, I think. wasn't it?
1737.
1737, okay. So if you multiply it times 15, it's $200 and some dollars a month.
$260.55.
That's what they're going to go from $17.37 to $260.
And here's my other thing too, is if Steve leaves, do we replace him or do we just go back to just being 2 of us here.
We talked about that. Jeff brought up an idea of just, we got the summer help being part-time. We don't offer them benefits. We have part-time employees. And
All year long.
Schedule Kurt and Jake all year long. Like my firefighters, they get no health insurance, no benefits.
The only bad thing about having guys like that is they're 2 good
Snowplow.
guys, but I can never count on any certain day to have them, because
right.
like this week, today was the only day I had Jake Schaefer. I won't have him the rest of the week. Then I only have Kurt 2 days this week. So the 5 days, I only had 3 days a part-timer here to help out with some of the stuff.
And you call them at 3 o'clock in the morning to go plow a road, you're not going to get them
Right.
because they're probably tied up at their
Right.
regular job. It's definitely not
I
the
mean,
ideal solution, but that was what we were
I mean,
brainstorming.
It's,
So how much?
I
of
did
an
it for 20-some years with only, well, not quite that long. For 15 of those 20-some years, I did it with just 2 of us.
I guess the
Alan
trustees will
Bolson-
start coming in and plowing snow. They do it in other townships.
My dad did when he was a trustee.
Right now, Brett's on with the CDL, so the other 2 have to fight over the 550.
You can do it in an emergency, can't you?
I guess you
You
could.
get a waiver?
Just give me a snow blower and I'll run down. Alert New London with a
Snow
snow
sh-
blower.
Snow shovel. Everybody takes care of their own road.
So
I live on
we've been
county
beating
road.
up on the road crew. What about us? What are we gonna do? If we can't say we're gonna take 40% and the road crew do 15, it's gotta be across the board. So, or it's all or none, right?
Right?
I'm pretty sure.
I think
Yeah.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So, does everybody have another alternative for health insurance if we don't get it through Morgan? Trustees, elected officials, I should say.
I'm on Medicare. I can go to Medicare 100%. So it's doesn't, it's more out of my pocket, but I'm willing to do that to make this work. So it's between you 3 guys.
Well, you said you had coverage from the Air Force, right?
Family not. My wife doesn't.
You don't have family.
But could Frank, maybe this is something that Frank could help guide us on. What are the options?
There aren't any. That's what Tom just said. I've talked to him about individual plans, and so has Tom. There just aren't good plans out there that give you good coverage for a reasonable dollar.
And Anthem doesn't even offer it, he said.
Yeah.
They don't even offer single plans anymore. They're just,
Before Obamacare, you could get
Right.
individual plans, and you could actually get them cheaper than the group plans.
exactly. If
Now
you
you
were
can't.
healthy, you could pay less than what the group plan
Now it
was.
costs
But
you even more, because I asked him that today. Plans are more.
Become a Farm Bureau member, you might be able to go through Farm Bureau through their group plan.
That's through Nationwide, and it's not that great, I don't think. If I was at the Farm Bureau trustee meeting like I was supposed to be, I could ask them, but I'm missing it tonight, so.
does Opers have any kind of health? I know they got life insurance. Do they have health insurance?
No.
And Highland doesn't.
Yeah,
We talked to Carrie about that.
it's just, you gotta find some kind of a group to get in somewhere.
We spent,
But you-
2 years trying to find groups.
Yeah.
Like say, and I'm just saying this, that if you did I'm just do the 15%, and let's say that I went to my wife and said that, why don't I go back on yours? Would you guys legally be able to pay the difference
No,
of going back on, if I went on hers?
no.
We talked about that. We talked about if they did offer single plans that we could.
We could, if
pay.
we did that, where we did not offer insurance to anyone here. We totally eliminated it and said we would go so much for everybody on their policy that they're paying.
Yep.
But then you gotta show a receipt of what you pay, and then we would reimburse up to
Right.
whatever dollar amount we set.
If we say we reimburse up to $500 a month, and you came in with a receipt for $700, you get $500. If you came in with a receipt for $400, you get $400. You wouldn't go over the $500. But you're going to end up paying more than the 15%, the $260 out of pocket for a family plan, if you can even get it on your own.
Rob, do you want to bring Steve and Mark into this conversation before we, I mean, they're part of all this, so they probably deserve to hear what we're talking about.
I think that the three of you need to tell them this. I mean,
Yeah, it shouldn't be just Rob.
I mean, I'm just gonna be straight out. I don't feel that that's my place to be telling them that, because that's
No,
coming
I
from you
agree.
guys. And
But
No,
you
we-
should be there. You should be part of it
That's
as
why we
well.
were going to try to do it last Friday, but it,
and I was under the impression that they both was gonna be here, but because of the sunshine or whatever, they both took off to go do farm work, so. Which I don't really have an issue with, because I understand they're under the gun there with the weather, way the weather's been, but it's just like I know that I have stuff that I wanna do the end of this week with, and they're saying they wanna be making hay, and I'm like, shit, I got stuff I wanna do. I mean, roadsides that need to start mowing again and other stuff like that, and then they're saying that there might be gone to mow hay, so I'm like, they've got comp time and vacation time, but still, it's just kind of stinks.
That's what I'm saying. There's nowhere else they're going to go to work where they get.
Well, I
That
agree with
perk.
that, but I don't think that they're going to see it that way. But again, I agree with you, and like I said, am I liking it? No, I'm not liking it, but
But I think you see why.
I see why. Yeah,
It's pretty hard not to see why.
I mean,
It's right there, isn't it?
it's more easy to see now than it was last year when we argued about it a little bit. I mean, I can see it a whole lot better here.
and next year's going to be even worse. You know, that's just it. It's not going to get any better.
Yeah, because, I mean, we haven't had terrible increases in our premiums, but it's going to keep going up. It's not,
We actually decreased it.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
But, I mean, we had
When we
it-
changed companies,
when
we
we
did
had changed-
decrease it, but
but we
still.
had a little increase. I mean, you're going to have,
Right.
you know. I
Incremental
mean, next year, the
increases.
dental shouldn't go up because it should stay at 0, but, and those, you know, those are small.
What was the single coverage for Anthem, for just one individual?
It's like $515. It's 500 and something for single.
And then a single plus one was 1,100, and then a family is 1,700.
1737.
And I had that paper out. I've got it on my desk. You want me to go get it? Because I pulled it out, but I guess I didn't carry it in here. You want me to go get it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we're good.
How much longer do you think we'll be? I'm being asked by someone at home.
Shouldn't be much longer. I mean, this is pretty much the
This-
last
yeah,
thing we've got to
this is it.
discuss. I just don't know really where to go with it at this moment.
I
Are
mean,
we
we
still going
don't-
to try to shoot for July 1st, or, I mean, that's what you kind of got the numbers based on, right?
That's what I've got the numbers based on, yes.
I
'Cause,
think we
mean,
got to at least do the 15%, and then we can readjust, change, and go from there. And come up with options. I
Right.
don't know what else,
Yeah.
because I was hoping that individual plans would be cheaper. And we all go out and got our own, and turned around and did the reimbursement, but that don't look like that's gonna work out for a feasible option.
The
Is there
other
a
thing,
possibility that you can pay a premium for your wife on?
I can ask, that's what I was asking about, talking to Frank, and if he's pretty savvy about what,
No, I meant with the insurance you've got through the VA, or whether,
I can check into,
yeah. to see
into other
if-
things.
Was you married to her when you were in the military?
Yeah,
And they didn't include her on that?
well, under like TRICARE, I get seen at the VA. That's what covers, but the TRICARE is not, it doesn't cover everything.
Frank had a couple other suggestions that, again, are not going to give us what we need. He said to not do that reimbursement for the high deductible. That hasn't cost us a lot of money so far. You know, I mean, we've budgeted like $5,000 a year, and we've not come close to that. But that would be a way to, as he said, to decrease our exposure. Because, you know, just say, okay, you know, the deductible's $2,500 and it's your responsibility. That was one suggestion he had. He also talked about doing the health insurance premiums as pre-tax. What that does is it lowers the amount that you pay tax on, because that premium comes out of your income before it's taxed. Well, I don't want to do that, because that lowers my income for Social Security for when I'm through with this job and I'm
Right.
depending on Social Security. Rob's not going to want to do that. It's going to do the same thing for his OPERS. So, you know, I mean, it sounds good in theory, but I don't think it's going to be enough to offset what we're asking these guys to pay, and in some of our cases, it's going to hurt us.
Mhm. For the long term, it will hurt.
Yeah. The young guys, it probably wouldn't, but and in Frank's suggestion right off the bat, when I called him to see, you know, what options we were, was to go 50% employees, and anything else the employee paid at 100%
For a family plan.
for a family plan. Well, we can't do that. That's just,
I mean, yeah, they wouldn't be taking any money home.
yeah.
Well,
You know, like,
they'd be working for health insurance.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Then you're gonna lose them.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and
who
that's,
wouldn't?
I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. I mean, that's not,
Because you can
That's
go
not
get
fair.
a truck driving job, because all of us have CDLs. It's not going to be in PRS. We want to stay in PRS, but you can go get a truck driving job right now, make $65,000 a year, and have health insurance. So, I mean, the only thing you're not getting is your PERS, and that you're losing your fringe benefits of being able to take off and go farm whenever you want. But I mean, I could go get a job tomorrow driving a semi truck, $65,000 a year, because they're in the paper every day.
They're not as good as what you think.
I understand, but I've also talked to people that work for these companies, like, for example, Reinhardt Foods. They got a thing in there in the ad right now going, starting off $65,000 a year. Now, granted, I'm going to work more than 40 hours a week doing this. I'm going to probably be 55 to 60, maybe 65 hours a week. But
Keep going.
that's what, and I'm talking with a guy that does the hiring and firing at Reinhardt Foods, and that's what he's
Do
saying.
we have any overtime?
Talk with the
figure for
drivers.
them for like snow removal?
I know the recruiters. Talk with the drivers.
Not
He's
much.
saying that you starting off $65,000 a year plus 401k plus your a $2,000 sign-on bonus. He's saying all that stuff. Now, granted, I know all that probably changes after they get you in the door, but that's what he's saying.
You're probably looking at 65 to 70 hours a week.
so in the long
Well-
run, you're not making per hour.
Well, no, you're not. but you're still making what you need to
Right.
pay your mortgages
Right.
and all
No, I know.
that stuff.
Right.
I mean,
Is that local? Is that over the road?
no, that's local. That's local delivery in the greater Cincinnati area.
And you're gonna work your ass off doing that food thing.
Well, you will. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just, those jobs are there and they're not getting filled.
There's a ton of driving jobs not getting filled. They're in every industry out there. Every truck driving job out there is not getting filled. I know that.
So what's a good time to come talk to Steve and, I mean, if we
You
want
guys
this
have
to-
got to just set a time and say that
'Cause-
they have to be there. So
because if she wants to get this implemented July 1st, we got this week.
so
We have to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
so what? Basically,
What time they get off tomorrow?
3:30.
We have to be here at 6 anyway for the employee manual. Can we get here a little early? I don't want them to come back. I mean, tell them to come back and then tell them bad news. That's kind of a double whammy.
Yeah.
Can anybody be here by 3
I can't. I can't be here tomorrow.
at all?
Is there any other?
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but the thing is, we have to do it tomorrow because that's a
I-
general thing. You can't call a special meeting just for that because it's not an emergency situation.
Yeah, because if I
It
want
has
to
to
do it
be-
on the, I mean, payroll ends on the 6th. Yeah, payroll ends on the 6th. So, I mean, we could go, 2 more weeks leaving it the way it is and then start it on July 7th when the new pay period starts.
after
You're
Thursday,
almost going to
after
have
Thursday,
to now.
I'm out of here.
I
mean,
know.
So
Well, I'm not here the weekend either. Well,
I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
I know
so.
you are.
So the 7th, you said the 7th was a key date?
Now,
that-
hold on a minute. You got to do it on a regular scheduled meeting.
Which is, well,
You got the 20,
we got the
Fifth.
24th or the 25th and the 9th.
or the 9th, and that's going to be after your pay period, right?
Well, I think
Pay
if at
period
least,
starts the 7th,
is there any
so
way 2 of you could come tomorrow? Say at 3 o'clock. Is that possible, Brett?
I can do it in the morning.
Maybe, but I
If you
don't.
want to do it early in the morning, is there any chance?
Well, what if you guys were here at 7 o'clock in the morning?
I'm in the truck at about 5 in the morning, so
Oh, okay.
I'm getting up about 4:30 and going. If everything goes right, I could make 3, but the way today went and the way everything goes, it's not a guarantee.
So this has to be done, this doesn't have to be done at a regular meeting though, does it?
Yes.
Tom and I were going to do it, and it wasn't a regular meeting.
it has to be, you guys have to
When
talk
we
to
do
them
the
before we
resolution,
pass the
when
resolution.
passed
We're
this,
not talking to them. We can talk to
We
them
can talk to
anytime.
them.
Oh, why
Anytime.
can't we do the resolution tomorrow then?
Well, we got to talk to them first. That's the problem.
We don't want to pass a resolution without talking to them and have them
Oh, okay. I
see it
got
in the
you.
minutes
I
and
got
say,
Yeah, them.
Gotcha.
That's why you're saying, well, we can talk to them in the week. Well, then you got to wait until that next regular scheduled meeting, which is the 9th, which is already past the deadline
well,
when she's
yeah,
wanting to get it
but
done.
the pay period starts the 7th. It doesn't get paid until the 15th. No. I don't have my calendar,
I
Jeff.
got it.
Okay. I'm doing payroll.
Paychecks are due the
1, 14th
29th,
to 15th.
and then they're paid the July 5th. So this coming Saturday is the end of a pay period, and
Right.
then they pay on July 5th. The next one is July 13th, and you pay on the July 19th.
Yeah. So it would have to be passed before I do payroll on, start payroll on the 15th, on July 15th.
So that you could theoretically do it on the 9th.
The 9th is a
Yes.
meeting night, and July 9th is a meeting night.
Yes.
You're out, Tom, then? Well, 2 of them can vote. However, between now and then, you need to figure a tight dated time and talk to them.
I got. If I'm going to talk with them, I have to do it between now and Thursday.
That's right.
So basically invoking this is gonna save us, what, $10,920 this year?
Yep.
Did you say,
Not a
Tom?
lot.
Tom, did you say you could do it Thursday?
64,000 divided by 12 equals
I could be here
53.33.
by 3, probably on
53.33.
Thursday. Can you do it Thursday?
I have no clue because I don't know what I'm doing until Wednesday.
Let me see what Thursday's got.
If everything goes right, I could be here tomorrow by 3. But then I thought I would have plenty of time to go home, take a shower and eat and clean up, but I come straight out of the truck to here today.
So hang on a minute, 53 times 6. If you went 0, you'd save 31,998 a year for the rest of this year.
Huh?
64,000 a year, right? 64,000
Yeah.
a year. Divide that by 12
Right.
is 53.33 a month, correct?
Divided
So
by 6. if you're going half a-
53.33, July, August, September, October, November, December. So take 53.33 times 6 months is 31,998.
15%.
Okay, I thought you were talking eliminating it total. Oh,
Oh.
for them. I thought it talked about eliminating insurance totally for the trustee side. Okay, I got it. It's not what I was figuring.
So what we're saying right now for everybody, the 7 involved with health insurance, is start out 15% payroll deduction, and then look at options that the elected officials can go elsewhere.
I don't see how we're going to come up with the money any other way. If anybody else has, if you guys want to think about it, I have to have the resolution passed on July 9th to approve the budget. I don't have a choice. It has to be done by then. I would prefer all 3 of you here, but
But if we approve the budget as written, and then we save money after July 9th, I mean, we leave that $64,000 in there for trustees or elected officials' salaries.
but we've got to somehow get rid of that $26,000 shortfall in the road and bridge. I can't turn in a budget with a deficit.
For the time being, you take that out of the general fund, put in there, and then
Yeah. That's how you turn it in, and then if we do anything better, we just come out with extra money.
because isn't this what they call the pretend budget?
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
pretend budget.
So
But how much can we stray from that once it's approved?
I mean,
It
I mean,
depends
if we
on
take
revenue.
$23,000, $22,000 to make him balance out, or road and bridge balance out, and then in reality, I don't know.
Reality, that's probably what's gonna happen anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't,
So it's
obviously,
not
we
a,
can't
So I-
have negative money.
I guess I'm kind of a little confused here. You can take the $26,000 out of general fund, put it in a balance of budget. You're legal to do that. You go and you charge everybody 15%, so you're recouping some of your money. Grant, you're not recouping $26,000, but you're showing the public that, hey, we're tightening our belts and we're giving some by everybody paying 15%.
our 15% will save us like 21,000.
So
That's
you,
it.
you almost got your 26 back to put back in your general fund.
But the 29,000 of that, 9,500 of it is back in your budget, road and bridges, because all the salaries and benefits come out of your, so we can't move that back out of there into general fund.
There's how we chip seal our roads.
with $9,500, go for it. What are you gonna do?
Oh, that might
50
do some of
feet?
the culverts, but I don't know,
But you
but
know,
I mean, that
but-
would make
but
it easy to where she could still go and turn her budget in, do all that
Right.
stuff, and you guys
Still
somehow or
gotta come
another
up with
figure
more
out, go
savings.
and talk to the guys and say, you gotta pay 15% of your premium, and we'll discuss what
Right now,
we're
we
gonna-
all are.
Right, say,
Yeah, it's
We're
not
not
just
just
them.
saying
say
them.
trustees, all people that have health insurance are paying 15%. Trustees included, them included. And say that, you know, as far as any raises and stuff, that's something that we'll have to do some figuring out if there's money and able to do that, or if there's not gonna be any raises or what, so.
Well, I do know Mark said, first thing out was, well, the fire department got raises, and I was like, well, yeah, they've got money in the budget to do that. And then I also reminded him, how many years did you get raises when the fire department did not get raises? Because that happened quite a bit when I
And the
first
fire
became a trustee.
department doesn't have
I mean,
any benefits.
No benefits, no
and,
paid
and I didn't
vacation,
get,
no
I did not say
holidays,
that, but
no
they don't
sick
get health
time.
insurance, they don't get anything, all they get is a salary, that's it.
Right.
So,
but
you know, there's gives and takes, and,
To your-
and I see the point of what they're thinking, but, you know, I can't take something if it ain't there to give.
right. To your point where you said if we let the public know that we are at now paying 15%, we're tightening our belts. Most people out in the public are going to say 15%, you're getting a bargain because
Yeah.
I'm paying 35 or 40 or 50%.
Yep.
So it could come back to bite us if we say,
Yes.
yeah, we're paying 15%. Well, what were you paying before?
Yeah.
I think that could hurt. That would be probably cause more problems than you don't want to say that, even though I just did.
Right.
Is this meeting gonna be on YouTube also?
Yep.
No, we all just said it, so.
Okay, so what do you want me to take out of,
I guess general fund, take out of general fund to balance the road and bridge
well, I would
projected budget.
rather just pay something from road and bridge out of general fund than be doing
Well,
advances
what do
and
you have that's
transfers.
close to $26,000?
Salt?
That's only 20.
No, there's nothing out of 2031. There's no salt out of 2031. It's only salaries and
Yeah.
health insurance.
Why can't you pay salt out of the general
Because
fund?
you don't have the money.
No, I don't have the money in there, but why couldn't you pay salt out of general fund?
Because general fund doesn't have the money.
You
But
could
that
But
doesn't,
you only take 26,000.
but that doesn't have, we've got to make Fund 2031, the road and bridge fund, is where
Balance.
it has to balance. And there's no salt coming out of road and bridge, only salaries
can
and health insurance
How
is
about
all.
How about if you show half a year of health insurance being paid
Out
in
of
the general fund? That's 32,000.
How about,
Half of the 64,000 can be paid out of general fund, the other half out of Rob's account. That's 32,000. To me, that's like the only sensible way there is.
yeah, there's not much else.
There's nothing else.
Because
There's not.
it's a couple months of salaries or this and that, where you just
That'd be
split
just-
health
that-
insurance
That
in
would be just
half.
confusing as could be if you take this person.
Yeah. Versus you just take your 64,000, where's it on what page?
So the general fund will go from
139.
64,000 to 96,000, right?
No, the other one.
No.
139.
You go from 139 to
yeah.
100.
Well, I'm just saying,
100,000.
I'm just saying the line item for health insurance.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the bottom line. We're going to go from 139 to 102,000 as carryover. And it means we're not spending anything the first 4 months of the year, except salaries, health insurance, electric, water.
We're gonna bring
Well-
candles in for the meetings.
Yeah, I've already had Rob raise the thermostats.
We tried to save, maybe shutting it off.
Yeah,
It got pretty hot in there. It was hot in there with that thing off,
yeah, it was.
especially in Ned's, or not
In Dale's office.
Dale's office. Sorry, Dale.
With that
I'll
sun
go
shining
around,
in the window,
yeah.
yeah.
I go around turning off lights.
All right, well, I say do that. Well, you got this going forward.
Okay.
Hang on a minute.
Wait a minute.
1737 times.
So if we're gonna take 3 months of the year, pay their health insurance, then their 15% needs to go back into the general fund, not into road and bridge. So
Well, half of it,
half of it,
yeah.
so that we'd still probably be okay. Okay,
So instead of 32, we'll be getting half of the 95.
well,
Right.
I'm this for this year,
Right.
you're getting half of 47, that's 2350. Off of the 32, we'd still be okay.
So I know that this probably isn't going to come out right, but how would it help? I mean, when we talk to Mark and Steve and tell them 15%, it's going to be $260 coming out of their additional, well, 240 something more than what they're paying now.
They get 2 checks a month, am I right?
Yeah, so it's split over 2 paychecks.
That's still per month, but
Right.
it's not going to be very favorable. They're not going to be happy about it. So do we just bite the bullet and say 20 or 25% to get us over the hump for a little bit? I mean, it's a lot to swallow, but is it easier to swallow if we give them 15% this year and then come back next year and do another 5 or 7%? It's going to be do we just, the initial shock, just say this is, would that help you? Would that get into 25%?
Well, if you did 25%,
That's
that's
$434
$434
a month.
a month, 25 cents.
We're going to get there eventually,
Yeah, we do.
at least
That's
that.
$217 a paycheck. Rob? I mean, I know it's a chunk, but
When's the next time that we would be able to adjust our premiums, our deductibles, or our co-pays with our insurance premiums? If you do it, you say you need a 6 month prior to,
our next renewal date's May 1st of next year.
May,
She said 2 months if we're going to.
If we're going to drop somebody, we have to give Anthem 60 days notice.
but the renegotiate's May. The contract is May.
Right. The renewal's May 1st.
Renewal's May.
You think that's too much to swallow, Rob?
I don't know what to think right now.
No, I'm just,
I'm keeping my mouth shut before I open it, so I really think about what I want to say, and
that's why we're here. I mean, we know it's not, Connie's got to make the numbers work, and
I don't know. I just don't know. Because I'm hearing 20-25% we got to pay, but I'm not hearing, are we going to get any kind of raises to help make up the difference there? I mean, Because a dollar raise is $2,000 on a 40-hour work week.
Right. And they're gonna pay out,
A whole lot more than that.
yeah.
$3,300 a year
At
is
15.
what we're gonna pay out at 15, that's at 15%.
Right.
Right.
I ain't even done the math for 20, 25%.
But the 15% is what I'm getting at, is the 15% is just, that's just scratching the surface.
I understand that.
So do we bite the bullet and say it's gonna be this now, or do we do it in increments? Because it's gonna be, next year, we're gonna be at,
Well, I mean, only you guys can decide that.
well, that's
but
why,
I mean,
that's why I'm
I'm
throwing
just-
it out there now,
I-
just to
I'm-
kinda get input. Because January, we're gonna have to do it again.
I think if we're not going to give mid-year raises, my personal feeling is that we can't go more than 15% right now.
Okay,
Because we didn't give them a raise at, at the beginning of the year. I don't see how you can turn around and say, we're going to take
But we kept
25%.
I mean,
at
you can say
1%.
whatever you want, but I'm just saying, you're probably gonna lose 2 guys.
But we kept it,
And
at-
I don't care what kind of fringe benefits you get or whatever, you're gonna lose 2 guys. And,
I-
because one of them, I mean, would just as soon go home and farm anyway, and a farmer can go get health insurance through Farm Bureau or through somewhere else. So Mark's got a way of doing that. Steve's
Well-
got a way of going through his employer. I mean, is that what they wanna do? No, that's not what they wanna do, but you're gonna lose 2 guys. You're gonna lose them, so.
are we
and
gonna
that's
lose
gonna
them?
suck.
We're gonna lose them to 15, probably, right?
You're really gonna lose them at 25, but you're probably still gonna lose them at 15 too, but I don't know.
But
Also, here's the only bad part. You gotta look at both ways. If we got, you'd save money if you give them the 15%, but if you turn around and give the raises, you're not saving a whole lot. You will on us 4, but on them, you're kind of evening it out. You're taking Peter to play. You see where I'm seeing from both sides there, and I don't mean. I'm not saying it's great, but
But then and I'm just gonna go and come right out and say it, cause there ain't no good nice way of saying it. They're gonna go and say, well, why'd we spend all this money for these TVs and this stuff to put stuff on YouTube and do all this stuff, and why'd we buy these radar signs for $7,000? Why'd we buy this floor machine for $10,000? That's gonna be said, because I've already heard it. And
okay, floor machine makes it a lot quicker.
The floor
So
machine doesn't do anything in here. It makes the floor look worse.
it's good for in the shop or
Yeah.
the firehouse, but in here, it makes the floor look worse, so.
It makes it look terrible.
so do we look at some of the things that we've got and, like the tar distributor, do we look at getting rid of it? I mean, we gotta ask these questions.
Well, I mean,
I mean, obviously, if we're gonna
then
try to keep,
Then
you
you
know.
gotta turn around and let the county do the chip seal, and we can't afford that either.
We'll just have to use a Durapatcher to do our work. Just when there's a pothole, we go out and fill with a Durapatcher and just have to do more stuff with
but we
it.
can't do anything with the tar distributor if we don't
Well,
have
that's true.
the other part of it, which
Right.
Riley's got. So we're not gonna use that this year, unless Riley gets their spreader.
unless you use just gravel and go fill the potholes up with that, which is probably better than the Durapatcher. You get the liquid and you go fill up, do so much, and
Well, you do the same with a Durapatcher.
Yeah.
You're filling with, you're just doing it all at once instead of throwing stone, spraying, throwing stone, spraying.
well, I meant
You're
you-
blowing it all through we're gonna,
but you're using bigger stone when you do the.
well, I can use a small or big stone. I can use the same size stone in the Durapatcher as we do when we chip seal, or I can use a fine stone to do stuff also. mean, I'm just putting it out there, I'm not going anywhere because I got 4 years. I just got to muddle through 4 years, but those guys got a whole lot longer than I do, and
But here's the other thing. It ain't just us that's doing this. It's
I
everywhere
understand
that's
that.
doing this. So
That's why I'm not getting outrageous and throwing my hands and cussing and ranting and raving like I probably normally would, but it just, I'll be quite honest, it really sucks that we had all that, now it's being taken away, and
Well, that's what, we kept it at 1% and then changed the policy and had a higher deductible and had a deductible reimbursement account. That was in lieu of their raise last year.
But see, when we went to 1%, that was more than 1 year ago. You should have went to 15% then. Now,
What's
woulda,
the
coulda,
difference
shoulda
then
is a
and
lot of
now?
different things, but you had Daryl Huff here who was all, oh, no, 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 just going crazy, but we should have,
well, what's the difference between now and then?
well,
I mean, to be honest,
there's no difference,
If they
but
were paying it all, it would have been all to 15%, which 1%'s not that much anyway. I mean, it's,
we'd have a lot more money in the savings account now if we'd have done that.
just 1% is unheard of. I mean, you.
I know, that's
you
why
won't-
I don't know why we ever did that in the first place. I don't understand that. Why didn't it go to 15% then? I mean, then if you needed another 5% now, we might have been a little bit easier to muddle another 5% out of us.
well, at the time we had the money, you got the good benefits. That was a big plus for you guys. I mean, and now
Well, it
the
was a
money
good
is
plus for all of us. I mean, trustees included, so.
You're correct.
So,
Y'all pretty well liked it then.
well, yeah.
Well, things have changed. I mean, I don't mean to be mean. It's just
this budget really worries me. If we have another George Road that we've got to do at $260,000, what are we going to do? We don't have it.
no.
No, just what would have happened then? We just closed the road.
Well,
Because
Something's.
you've got one more that's, there's a spot there
Yes.
on Weaver Road that could happen, but
yeah.
just what you do is you have to close it.
And I
We
mean,
getting feedback on one of them.
we got to maintain our roads or we'll have a fire truck in the side ditch.
Which, by the way, Chief, somebody ran off there today. At the exact same spot, because it just happened right before I came here. You could see where someone ran off and they got pulled up because there was mud going down the road and you could see all the water splashed up on the road.
The white line has sunk.
I've seen
And
that.
there's not been a thing done with that road since Thursday's accident, which is not really acceptable. but
All right, I did a few numbers here. You was talking about raises. If you did $1 raise, 40 hours a week, 52 hours a year, that's $2,080. If you did $2 a year, $2 an hour raise, that's $4,160 a year. 20% comes out $347.40 a month. Totals at $68.80 a year. So basically, 20% is equal of a $2 raise. And if you went 25%, it's $434.25 a month, total of $5,211 a year.
So,
At what the premiums are right now.
so if we went 15 and left the salaries the same, it's 3,300. We're gonna make, you do that, where's Connie gonna get more money? We're paying it out here and taking it in here, but it's pretty much a wash.
But you'd save it on the trustee side.
Yeah, you would. But it's still,
Well, let's see what that is. Is that gonna amount to much? What do you say, 25 or 20?
which one?
What was the 5,200, 25?
Yes.
Do they get 1 week or 2 weeks of vacation a year?
Depends on how long they've been here.
Well, Mark and I both get 3 weeks. Steve gets 2 weeks and a day or two, because he's only been here 5 years. So he gets 2 weeks and a day being here 5 years. And then, but you max out at 3 weeks vacation is the max vacation you get. Because the way it was, when you work here 1 year, you get 1 week's vacation. When you work here 2 years, you get your 2nd week's vacation. And then after you work here 5 years, you get your 2 weeks and 1 day, 6 years, 2 weeks and 2 days, up until your 10-year anniversary. And that's when you get your final 5 days to make it 3 weeks vacation.
Can you authorize discretionary comp time? Can you let somebody off work and still compensate it for them? Or do you have to punch that time clock to get a paycheck?
So you guys set that policy.
I mean, you could a lot of times, if you negotiate, or if you want to work that angle, you could allow more comp time or time off or flex time in lieu of, because I know they need time. Time might be more valuable than money to them.
Well, when they take off, they're getting paid. They're either taking comp time or vacation days. It's not like they're going without pay when they do that.
No, I'm saying allowing more time off with pay as opposed to raising their pay rate.
How do you?
How does that help
Yeah,
anything?
how do you manage?
Well,
you guys
instead of giving them a raise, you give them another week off so they can still get paid, but they don't have to be at work to be paid. You give them 4 weeks vacation or something like that.
So what's that? 40 hours, what's Mark?
Mark's 22.50, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's $900 a year, 1 week. And do what? Keep them at 15 or go to 25? I mean, that's 900 isn't going to mount up to the 3,300 for the 15%.
No, but it might make something to them, because if they have that extra week off, they might make more than that going home farming on that week's time that they're off. I mean,
What's Stephen's?
17
an hour.
That's 680.
Well, this is probably something we need to hear from them. I mean, we can decide it here. We need to get an idea here so we can present them a couple options.
I don't know what the golden answer is there. I mean,
no matter what we do, they're not going to be happy. But here's the thing: we've had how many years that they didn't have to? They gotten this benefit. We've been able to give it to them. Well, now things have changed. You can't give them what ain't there. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to lose two good guys. That's all I can say. So.
Yeah, I understand that.
But
Maybe instead of just saying, hey, look, guys, this is what we've got to do, to say, look, money's not there. You give us a suggestion on how we can make this balance. We need to cut this much or bring in this much more. How are we gonna do it? How can you help us? You know, I don't know if that would make a difference or not, but
Well, I know it's not an option for Mark, but, because his wife doesn't work.
right.
It might be an option for Stephen that we could, if he could get on Lila's policy, we could help pay some of her premium.
You can't do it for one
with
if you
a pay
don't.
increase.
Oh, okay.
You know, offset some of that.
you can't word it as that, but you can give them a pay increase to offset that, but
Exactly.
it can't be worded that way.
Yeah, right. You can't say that we're reimbursing them for health insurance premiums,
But
but
then
you can.
are you saying you're not gonna give Mark anything then at all?
No, we'd have to give a raise.
Right,
You know,
right.
a raise across the board or
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
But it would be easier for, if he can get on with Lila's policy.
Well, the only bad part is the only way he might get on there is if there's not one here, and then you'd have to take that away from all of us.
That's true. If it's no longer
Right, 'cause
available.
that's-
You go on Kathy's?
I can go on Kathy's, yeah.
If we have one here, you can, or you can't unless we took it all the way away.
No, if you take it away,
Then
if
you
you
can
take it away, I can go on hers, but if you offer it,
he has to take it here.
I have to take it here.
Right,
And I would venture to say probably Steve's in the same,
Yes.
yeah.
same one, same way.
But now, you gotta be real careful because can you still give Chief his?
He doesn't,
He doesn't
He
get
doesn't
health
take his
insurance.
health
his
insurance.
salary, it's coming out of his salary. He pays it himself. It doesn't come through this
Okay,
at all.
cause I thought that there was a time back
There
when,
was a time, but we had
when
to
we all had to be on it, and that's, I mean, I'm not trying to drag the chief into this, I'm just hearing all this other stuff and like making sure that we're not doing something that's gonna be illegal.
No, that's how we couldn't. Doesn't have to.
Since we had one
have to
here, we
offer-
couldn't reimburse him.
We have to offer it to everybody. Now, I could say I don't want it. Connie could say she doesn't want it, but it has to be offered to everybody. He couldn't say, I want to be on the policy he's got, and then us pay him to be on that policy. We couldn't do that. So that's why we had to increase his salary, and he pays it out of his salary.
Okay.
He pays it himself, and he just, you know, declined the offer of having our health insurance.
Now, I'm going to throw out some other options here. You'd mentioned about certain things, do we need them anymore or whatever. I personally, I've said this numerous times in meetings, the speed signs are nothing more than the township residents calibrating their speedometers. I think I would put that on Gov Deals tomorrow. The other thing is that, and this is a Rob decision, but in the good years, you said buy this, buy this, buy this, instead of renting it. How many times a year do you need the roller? or something you could rent for the times that you needed it versus you own it a whole year and you don't use it. I don't know. There might be some other options out there.
Yeah, there's things that sit
There's
in-
probably other options out there as well that might be some generating some revenues or something like that to take a look at.
Yeah.
Just throwing them out, just throwing other options out there.
Do you know offhand, Rob, how other township road departments, like, we heard that Riley just gives they give like $300 and they're on their own. Is that, do you know?
They're the only place I know that does that.
So they don't offer health insurance, they just.
Riley doesn't offer health insurance at all. Nobody has health insurance in Riley.
Westchester pays a lot. The employee
But they're
pays
at
a
what?
lot at Westchester.
What did Bruce say they were at? 35?
I don't think they were that high. I think they were
30?
25.
25? Okay.
But what is it on their family? Wasn't that the
No,
employee?
It's not a full pay family, they pay,
Yeah, if in Westchester, if the spouse can get it somewhere else, then the township won't cover them. I forget now, 'cause it's been a while since I talked to Bruce about this, but, I mean,
And-
he about,
Wasn't it something like if the spouse came on, they had to pay 50% of it? Something of that
something like
drastic.
that, yeah.
That's Westchester.
and they got tons of money.
So it'll be tough to go out there and,
How much would that save us if you just went and paid for the employees themselves again?
Just the employees.
Just the employees?
Be 500?
500 times 7 is 35, let's make it easy. 600 times 7 is $4,200 a month instead of over 10.
and
The health insurance alone is $95.69 a month, plus dental, vision, and life.
That's 50,400 a year.
Versus 128.
Of course, then still, Mark's gonna be screwed there. so-
Mark's gonna be, yeah.
But I see what you're saying. If you change an official policy that says the township will pay the employee, then that would allow the spouses to go back on their other one.
Correct.
That's what you're getting at. I see that point, except for Mark.
If we did that, I'm not taking Mark into consideration, but if the spouses have insurance and we just don't offer health insurance, they could go on their spouses and then we could give them a pay increase. But that's still gonna
That doesn't
not
help
sit
Mark.
well with Mark.
Yeah.
Either way, it's not gonna sit well with Mark. Whether we
mean-
do a employee only or a don't offer health insurance. Well, we can just throw it out there and see what they're, maybe they'll come up with something that sounds more attractive to them. Bottom line is, we need to what? Cut $64,000?
Well, is there any chance that Jeff and you could come in tomorrow morning and talk to him? I know Brett can't be there, or do you all three need to be there to tell him this?
We don't have to be there. It's probably nice that we would. I know I'm working, so I can't be there in the morning. I might be able to make it back by 3, but that's not a guarantee.
I could do 3. I really, tomorrow morning I can't. So I got to be able to be there by 7.
Do we have to have 2?
I think it
Does it
would be
have to
better.
be 2?
Yeah,
2, I think we ought to have 3, to be honest with you.
right.
It would be better if all three of us were there saying this to them, so. I mean, I almost wish we'd have told them to be here tonight, but like,
What do you think they would come in tomorrow at 6? We can certainly push the manual off to another workshop. That thing hasn't been done with since 2007.
What's the earliest you can get here tomorrow?
Push the manual back another
I'll be here at
2
6.
weeks review.
Because normally, yeah, I got it scheduled, they'll be here an hour earlier. Usually we're here at 7, but I'll be here, I can be here at 6 or maybe a little before 6.
Yeah, 6, we're supposed to start the workshop.
Well, but
But
Chief
again,
is saying,
that's-
it's Chief
Right,
for the
we can
manual.
push
Forget the manual for 2 weeks and see if they'll come in tomorrow at 6 o'clock, which stinks to have them come back in, but I think it's enough of an important subject to talk about that, and we just pushed reviewing the manual off for another 2 weeks.
But we've got to do the cemetery.
What's that?
We got to do the cemetery.
Rob's still,
We'll
Rob
get
and I
that.
talked
Okay.
about that today.
we'll
Okay.
get that cemetery done.
He's
so-
got
Alright.
Jacob, and I texted him today, and he's all for helping you over the summer while he's at home, so.
Okay.
That's just my feeling. You already have something tomorrow where all three of you will be here at 6, and I don't think the manual's that important that you can't push that back and have them come in at 6.
I'll borrow that. We have to be across the board the same contribution, 15,
Right.
25, whatever. If we were to go 25 for all elected officials and the road crew, the 7 people, that would be $434.25 for a family plan, which would be $5,211 per year, per employee. It's basically the same as going 5% with no raise. If we gave them $1 an hour raise, that would give them an extra $2,080, which would net out $3,200 that we would get back, but the trustees would pay more. I think that would look good to them that we're in the same boat. You guys will get $1 an hour raise, so you're still going to be paying basically what 5% is. But they get $1 an hour raise, and we pay 25% with no raise. That, I think, would be more easier to chew on. What do you guys think?
It all sucks, but that sounds good.
No, it's.
I mean, no matter
It's
what
going to
we
be
do,
the 5%. They're going to pay $3,300. The 25%, they're going to pay $3,200 and something because they're getting $1 an hour raise.
So go 25 instead of 15
Yeah,
right off the bat.
right off the bat, but they get $1 an hour
They
raise.
get $1 an hour raise.
Does that sound right? Make sense? It's still going to achieve the same thing, but you're going to get more from us 4
Right.
than you are from those 3.
Right.
All we do is try.
I mean, the 15, they get nothing. They pay $3,300 more a year than what they're paying now, or close to it. Make sure that's right. $434.25.
I mean, Rob, you were talking about, them having money for their mortgage and all the other stuff. Well, that's true for all of us sitting here. I mean, I have a mortgage too. I mean, it affects all of us. It's not just the you 3 guys. We're taking a cut too.
But I'm gonna argue with you that this is our full-time job.
I get that.
You guys are only part-time.
Yep, well, you heard my
I can
recommendation.
throw the dagger back.
Throw it back, I don't care.
So what'd you say it was if they paid 15%, 33?
3,300.
It'd be 31.31 with $1, 25% plus $1 pay increase. So they'd be saving $200 a year, basically. But we make it up on the 4 of us paying the full 25%.
I'm waiting for the dagger. I haven't
I
seen
wasn't gonna be mean, but all right. I'll just,
Throw
Is
it
that okay
back.
with
I
you?
mean, what the heck?
I'll tell you later.
At least it looks like we're giving them something it's not gonna balance out, but I think it'd be easier to hopefully swallow. All right, anything else?
So to make this work so we can do the resolution for the budget tomorrow night, I'm gonna, how do you want me to do this to make this balance?
25%.
Okay,
Employees with health insurance
Okay.
are paying 25% of the premium.
okay.
The road crew,
There, everybody's getting $1 an hour raise,
yeah,
starting,
when we start taking it out. So that pay period, whether it's July 9th,
yeah,
effective
No.
July 13th.
effective July 7th.
I thought it was the 9th.
Then
The pay period.
the pay
you're
period
talking
starts
The pay period.
the 7th,
So the
unless we
6th
backdate it to,
Paychecks are due on the 6th.
okay,
Let me just double check. I'm in August. Paychecks are due the 27th and the 10th. Wait a minute, I'm in the wrong month. Stand by. Paychecks on June 29th to get paid on the 5th. So the next one is the 13th. So you have to have it effective June 29th to go to the July 9th meeting. Right? That's pay period,
that's,
and they get paid the 5th. The next pay period ends the 13th. Because you have to vote on it the 9th,
No, tomorrow night.
if we can do it tomorrow night,
then it would be effective.
And you probably ought to text both of them right now, asking if they can be here at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Because you can't, and that's probably even gonna be short notice. But the sooner you get it out, the better.
Well, if they can't be here, then we'll try to hit them at 3. I mean, that's all we can do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Someone needs to text them now, though.
Gosh, if you're saying you need to go effective July 7th. 'Cause
Can
that's
we
the new pay
backdate it,
period.
though?
You
I
can
mean-
backdate it
to the 16th?
to the 16th. June 16th, you can backdate.
Because the next paycheck's gonna get paid on July 5th, and so we're in
Mhm.
Should we
July
call 'em?
for the, that might be better.
Want to wait until we adjourn?
Yeah, we'll call them as soon as we get out of the meeting.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
No, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Brucker,
Yes.
Mr. Kolb,
Yes.
Mr. Updike,
Yes.
we are adjourned.